Students, in lesson 2.2, we will be working on dividing by one-digit divisors. So our essential question for this lesson is, how do you solve and check division problems? We're going to start here on the side in this blue box because this is going to help us be more successful at reading the problem and understanding what it is our job is to do for this problem. The first bullet point says, underline the sentence that tells you what you are trying to find. The second bullet point says, circle the numbers you need to use. So let's start with the real world, unlock the problem. Jenna's family is planning a trip to Oceanside, California. They will begin their trip in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and will travel 2,754 miles over 9 days. If the family travels an equal number of miles each day, how far will they travel each day? So what we're going to do is we're going to underline the sentence that tells us what we're trying to find, and that is, if the family travels an equal number of miles every day, how far will they travel each day? And secondly, we are supposed to circle the numbers that we're going to use that are going to help us find the answer. So we're going to circle 9 from the 9 days, and then we're going to circle 2,754 miles. So first we're going to unlock the problem by this keyhole, and we're going to divide. 2,754 divided by 9. Now remember, boys and girls, the order matters in division, so you can't change around the order. As you notice here, we have our dividend divided by our divisor, which gives us our quotient. So step 1 says estimate, to place the first digit in the quotient. So notice this is what we worked on in lesson 2.1, and we're practicing this skill again. So again, boys and girls, I think about my multiples of 9, because our multiples of 9 will give us a number that is divisible by 9 as well. So we're going to try to come up with something really, really close to 2,754. So students, when you notice our multiples of 9, you see that those are the answers of the multiplication problems in just the 9 tables. So 9 times 1 is 9, 9 times 2 is 18, 9 times 3 is 27, and we love this. And the reason why we love this is because we know that a compatible number will allow us to divide. So if we know that 27 divided by 9 is equal to 3, we can figure out what 2,700 divided by 9 would give us. So we know that 2,700 divided by 9 would give us 300. And we can use inverse operations to check. 300 times 9, you see that there's 2 zeros in 300. That means there should be 2 zeros in our product. So again, remember, you can use inverse operations to check. 300 times 9 would give us 2,700. So it says the first digit of the quotient is going to be in the hundreds place. And remember, it's really important that you place the quotient in the correct place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to our division problem, and I'm going to write a little box there so we can make the connection that we want to place the first digit in our quotient in the hundreds place. So step 2, it says divide. So what we do is we're going to divide the hundreds first. 27 divided by 9 is 3. Now we're going to multiply. 3 times 9 is 27. So we subtract 27 minus 27, and we get 0 hundreds and 5 tens. Next, we're going to divide the tens in step 3. But we know that there is no number times 9 that would give us 5, so we're going to place 0 in the tens place. 0 times 9 is 0, and then we're going to subtract 5 tens minus 0 tens, which is 5 tens. We regroup and we bring down the 4, and we have 54. So next, we say to ourselves, 54 divided by 9 would give us 6. 6 times 9 is 54. So 54 ones minus 54 ones is 0. And in step 4, we did divide the ones, and we now can check our answers. So since 306 is close to our estimate of 300, the answer is reasonable. So Jenna's family will travel 306 miles each day. Now, students, something that I've noticed in the past is that most students shy away from the estimation before they do the actual division. It's very, 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 very important for you to do this first. And the reason this has to be done first is because if we don't have our estimate, like we can see here, if we didn't have 300 that we did first, we wouldn't be able to check it and compare it to our actual to see if our answer was reasonable and correct. Because sometimes we might make mistakes in our division problems, but our estimations are really easy to do because they're done with compatible numbers, which we can compute mentally very easily. And remember that basic fact that helped us out at the beginning was 27 divided by 9 is equal to 3, and we were able to build up to that larger fact was 2,700 divided by 9, which would give us 300. And we can use inverse operations again to help check us if we feel still weak about our division facts. We know 3 times 9 is 27, which makes us really, really happy. So then we can build up to our compatible numbers of 300 times 9, which would give us 2,700. Notice there are 2 zeros in this factor. There are 2 zeros in this product. So that's another way we can check our answer. So we're going to do one more example here together. And on this one it says connect. Division and multiplication are inverse operations. This is something we touched a little bit on in chapter 1. Inverse operations are opposite operations that undo each other. So what I'm going to write down here on this side is undo each other. So you can use multiplication to check your answer to a division problem, and that's something we started a little bit in the last example. So here in the second example it says divide, check your answer. So what we're going to be focusing on this particular example is checking, and how do we check a division problems? We multiply. So that's what we're going to be working on in this example. So it says to check your answer to a division problem, multiply the quotient by the divisor. If there's a remainder, add it to the product. The result should equal the dividend. So here we had 614 divided by 6, and we have the quotient of 102, remainder 2. So what we're going to do is I'm going to use some colors just to kind of help us out. We're going to take our quotient, and notice our quotient is our first factor. Secondly, we take our divisor, and notice our divisor is our second factor. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply these out to check to see if our answer is in fact equal to the dividend. So let's get started. 2 times 6 is 12. Write down the 2 ones, regroup the 10. 0 times 6 is 0, plus the regroup 1 is 1, and 6 times 1 is 6. Notice, students, in this particular example we had remainder 2, and what it said we needed to do was we needed to add the remainder. So we're going to add the remainder here. 2 plus 2 is 4, 1 plus nothing is 1, and 6 plus nothing is 6. So we come up with the answer of 616. And if we look back at this problem, that in fact is the dividend what we started with. So it says since the result of the check is equal to the dividend is correct. So 614 divided by 6 is 102, remainder 2. Students, you can also use what you know about checking division to find an unknown value. Try this. Find the unknown number by finding the value of n in the related equation. So in this particular example, we don't know what the dividend is, but we do know what the quotient is, and we do know what the divisor is. So what we can do is if we multiply the quotient by the divisor, we can get this number here, which is the dividend. So 3 times 7 is 21. We regroup the 2. 6 times 7 is 42, plus the regroup 2 is 44. So it says to multiply the divisor by the quotient, which we did, and we got the answer of 441 as our unknown. And this is what we are solving for, which was n. In B, we know the dividend, we know the quotient, we know the divisor, but we do not know the remainder. So students, what you'll notice is that I labeled the different parts of the equation. It's really helpful because it'll help in the translation process when we write down the equation here. So we have 752 is equal to 6 times 125 plus n, the unknown. So we have our dividend is equal to our divisor times our quotient plus our remainder. So it says multiply the divisor and the quotient. So 5 times 6 is 30. We regroup the 3. 2 times 6 is 12 plus the regroup 3 is 15. And 6 times 1 is 6 plus the regrouped 1 is 7. So that's how we got this answer here. But remember, if we have a remainder, we have to add in the remainder. So it says think what number added to 750 equals 752. Well, we know that answer would be 2. So for this problem, 2 is the unknown. And in the previous problem, I forgot to write down 441 is the dividend. Now students, I want you to go back and I want you to check that you did a good job in taking notes. When I check your notebook, I want to see that you have A written down with all of the steps and all of the vocabulary terms, B written down with all of the steps and all the vocabulary terms and vocabulary sentences. Also, you should show that you have this division problem written down for the first one, for the divide and check your answer problem, and then next to it you should have this whole entire multiplication check listed for this example. And then for the first problem, you should have this entire problem and then labeled step 1 and what step 1 is. So estimate and all this information. Step 2, the sentence and the math. Step 3, the sentence and the math. And then step 4, the sentence and the math. So those are the things that I'm looking for in your notes. So be sure to take your time and be slow and really think about the procedure before you come to class, because the more work you do at home, the easier the math will be for you at school.